Ladies and gentlemen, today we have another inside report for the next Nintendo console, currently dubbed the Switch 2. I'm kinda on the fence. Do I want to be called Super Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch Advance? I don't even know, but we have another big leak coming from inside the industry that all but kinda confirms this thing for 2024 and some key details. So we're gonna go ahead and break all that down. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Getting random leaks on like Twitter or YouTube is one thing, right? It's fun to speculate and figure out what's going on, but when you get real information from inside analysts and financial reports, then it's kind of telling, because that's kind of the inside of the gaming world, if you will. And we have a pretty big leak to go over today that gives us some key details. Some I like, some I kind of don't, but it is worth being covered, so we're gonna do that before we get started. If you could hit a like and subscribe, it would truly mean the world to me. And Tuesday night and Saturday night right here on YouTube, I stream, so come and hang out. But let's go ahead and get right into this video. Switch 2 will have a larger screen that might not be an OLED, tech analyst says. The next console from Nintendo, dubbed the Switch 2, will feature an LCD screen that is roughly 15% larger than that of its predecessor, an industry analyst said. This forecast, which also includes some additional predictions about the console, is the latest in a long string of evidence indicating that the Switch 2 successor could be hitting the market sooner rather than later. The possibility of the Switch 2 hitting the market in the immediate future has now been substantiated by consultancy firm Omida. Speaking to Bloomberg, Omida research manager Hiroshi Hayashi forecasts that the next Nintendo console will be released before the end of 2024. His prediction is largely based on the analysis of consumer electronic supply chains, with Hayashi explaining that the number of amusement display shipments is expected to double this year, amounting to around 26.6 million units. Such a component uptick is most easily explained by the impending arrival of a hot commodity like the next Nintendo console. Although the latest variant of the Switch features an OLED display, its successor will once again revert to LCDs. This forecast isn't the next indication that the next Nintendo console will launch with an LCD panel, with one late 2023 leak already claiming the Switch 2 will lack an OLED display. And this comes from Japanese display manufacturer and Foxconn subsidiary Sharp is believed to be supplying the Switch 2 panels. The company really does already have a long-standing relationship with Nintendo, so this isn't too crazy to think, but I don't know how I feel about this yet, right? Hayashi also expects the Switch 2 to release with an 8-inch display, thus offering almost 15% more screen real estate than its 7-inch predecessor. A larger screen is better, but you would need increased power to use that screen. But is an LCD as good as an OLED? So I'm kinda on the fence about this. A bigger screen is better, right? A whole inch bigger. Like, that's cool, but not going with an OLED seems to be a step down. Now, we can go to the other side of the coin and say an LCD, while bigger, could still be just as good as long as there's stuff internally into the Switch to make it look good. Maybe more processing, more RAM, other stuff like whatever kind of NVIDIA chip that's in this thing, like whatever is going on could make the screen just look phenomenal. And maybe it's not as bright as an OLED, but it could look graphically better than the Switch OLED currently looks. There's nothing to say that down the line Nintendo won't also release an OLED model. Me, myself, I would love for them to launch with two consoles, an LCD model and an OLED model, but you just have to look at this from a business perspective. It's going to be so hard for the average consumer to like tell the difference between an OLED and LCD. If you have some 80-year-old grandma going to buy her grandkid a Nintendo console, and she goes up there and she sees Nintendo Switch 2 LCD, Nintendo Switch 2 OLED. She's like, what's that? I don't know, whatever. Like, they're just gonna buy whatever one they get. More times than not, man, I'm not saying this just to say it. When you go to like Target or Walmart and you go to the electronics section and you ask them a real question where you need real information, they're just like, dude, all I have is the keys to unlock this thing and sell it to you. I don't know what the hell it does. I don't know the difference between this one and that one. And it's not like a fault on them. They're probably not properly trained for that, but they can't help you. The average consumer doesn't know what the hell's going on. So Nintendo kinda has to release just one single model, in my opinion, to have, I guess, a real successful launch. Half of the people who game casually. They're like, oh, a new PlayStation's coming out? Cool, I'll buy one day and just play some 2K or something. Or a new Nintendo console's coming out? Cool, I'll buy that and play some Mario. They're not like into it maybe the way that we are, and we pick apart every little detail. So it kind of makes sense just to have one single model at launch. Having an LCD screen, while it may not seem like the biggest difference, does let Nintendo kind of cut costs down, at least for this first console. I've seen tons and tons and tons of articles, news, leaks, rumors, all pointing to a $400 price point. I do think that is a great price entry for this next Nintendo console, especially with the yen being pretty low right now, with inflation and just the way that the consumer market is moving. $400 is not that bad of an increase from the $300 price point. But with that price increase, you would like to have an OLED screen. But an 8-inch screen, I think, is fantastic. I love my Switch OLED. The screen is pretty fine. Like, there's never really any complaints I have. I do think 8 inches would be better, but you have to remember, an 8-inch screen, while not that big, will make you have to use more power. And we're just going to assume for a moment that the next Nintendo console will have a better battery. At least I would hope so, right? But it's going to take away more power, so they have to have a better battery. So there's just all these little tiny things that has to go into this. And then what kind of speakers is this console going to have? I have never once seen any rumors or leaks or anything pointing to what kind of speakers are going to into the next Nintendo console. Me, myself, I can't even tell you what kind of speakers are in the original Switch. I don't know. If I was making a new handheld console, I would try to have better sound. It just makes sense to want to improve this thing every which way you can. There's no problems with how the Switch currently sounds, but if you have better speakers, would that take more power? These are just questions I'm asking myself that I don't really think I even care about the answers to, but it helps me kind of just like wrap my head around what's going on and how the thing is going to work and how it's going to play out. Like week by week, my opinion is changing. It's changing on the name. It's changing on what I want from this thing. It's changing on what I think is going to actually come out, what it's going to look like. It changes daily, and I think that's kind of important to not be set in stone to any of these theories or any of your opinions, because at the end of the day, we're just speculating. I'm just covering leaks. I don't know. I have some theories though, and I do feel strongly about some stuff, but I think it is important for your opinion to be able to change. Giving what kind of data or information you currently have, because that's kind of how you learn, right? You accept that you were wrong maybe in this, and then you focus on what you do know. And LCD seems to be the more popular theory right now, and we've seen a lot of information. I covered a leak coming out of Sharp Manufacturing saying that they are working on a bunch of LCD screens for a new handheld console set to launch in 2024. Given their relationship with Nintendo, that just seems like a given. But LCD screen, 8 inches, 2024, all this seems kind of reasonable to me, especially we should get a new Nintendo Direct soon. I don't think they're going to mention anything about the Switch 2 in there, but I do think we will see secrets or hints kind of hidden. So it will be important to pay attention to what's going on maybe in the background, but I don't know. I think this is fine given all things. Nintendo knows how to finesse and work consoles to make them look better than they actually are, so I'm still okay with everything we know so far. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about all this? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Do you think an LCD screen is fine? Do you prefer we have an OLED screen? I think I would rather have an OLED screen, right? An 8-inch OLED screen just sounds better to me, but your opinion matters more than mine. I would love to hear from you guys, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you could. Once I get more followers on both of those, I will start posting daily gaming news and keeping up and kind of that social media gaming ethos. I don't know. I'd really appreciate a follow though. You guys know me. I'll see you soon with a new video. Peace out.